quiet and good order will be maintained in our city to the best of our ability. Riots, melees, and disturbances of the peace are against the interest of all our people, and therefore cannot be permitted.
Interrupt this program to bring you...
On behalf of the United States government...
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Stand by. I'll be right there.
All right, St. Louis, I want to hear everybody say it. Come on.
Hey, in St. Louis.
Beyond radio. Beyond.
FM.
Now, here comes the music.
It's the best of everything STL. It's Beyond FM. Bruiser Queen there with Walking on My Grave. Thank you for tuning in and hanging out. Coming up next, we're going to sit down and hang out with Louise Post. You may remember her from the great band Veruca Salt. She's got a new solo album coming out called Sleepwalker. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the tour and so much more. So stick around for that conversation. But first, we're going to play the first track, first release off of Sleepwalker. This is called Guilty. It's a Louise Post. It's Beyond FM.
You cover it up 'cause you're clever. You messed it all up, but whatever. She looks pretty hot in a sweater. She talks a whole lot about the weather. Guilty. You're so guilty.
the best of everything STL Beyond FM, and Louise Post and �々𝘶𝑗𝑔𝘐. Of course, we're bringing her to the beautiful Red Flag in St. Louis on July 22nd, part of her Sleepwalker tour, and the final date, I do believe. Is that correct as well?
That is correct.
She's coming home.
Coming home.
Yeah, so it's going to be a party. It'll be fun.
Let's hope so, right?
Yeah. So tell all your friends and bring all your friends and your family as well. It'll be fun. So let's talk. Let's let me and you be frank for a minute. Okay. Because I know you're a huge fan, and like me, we're both like, 90s kids. We loved that whole wave of music that came from, we'll say 92, 91, whatever, and just exploded all over the place and changed the way I think a lot of people looked at music. They became more open-minded to different sounds and things like that. And I know it was coming out of an age where, the 80s were just so weird, like just the imagery and things like that, and the things that artists did and dressed like and just whatever. It was a nice change of pace, especially even for me. Everybody, you could have short hair and be a rock star, once the 90s kicked in. So I thought that was pretty cool because I shaved my head. So I went from hair down to my tatas to, completely bald overnight. It was pretty wild. Oh, are you getting a thumbs up? All right, we're going to try this. Even though we have motorcycles driving by, so maybe we'll wait for like 1 second because we are in a beautiful Collinsville on Main Street, and it's hot as hell in the studio, so we had to keep the doors open. So we'll wait 30 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever, for this motorcycle to go by. And
all
now
right, there we go.
All right. Louise, are you there?
Can you hear us, Louise?
I can hear you.
Okay, let me turn you up. You got volume on your phone?
I do.
Okay, because that'll help.
All right, let's try that.
There it is. Can you hear us
Yeah, you
good?
can hear me?
Yep, we can hear you loud and clear now.
Cool.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to work his phone very well. Don't
All right, I need to know. I need to know who the other person is on the line.
My name is Tony. How are you?
Hi, Tony. That's my husband's name. I'm fine.
Oh, good.
How are you?
I'm doing well. First of all, thank you for taking the time out to hang out and chat with us a little bit as we get ready to kind of promote and celebrate you coming to town on July 22nd at the Red Flag.
Thank you.
Tickets are on
Thanks so
sale
much
now.
for having me.
Yes. So you're getting ready to kick things off, June 12th in Vancouver, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, and it's the Sleepwalker tour.
Yeah, it is. That's right.
And are you pretty stoked? Are you pretty excited?
I'm really excited, except honestly, when you say that, when you remind me of the dates and I realize it's coming up soon, I'm kind of like, wait, what now? It feels very unreal. And it's one of those things where I've been waiting for a long time for this record to come out and to release it to the world. And now that it's actually happening, it feels very unreal. Like, wait, don't I have a couple more months to prep for this? So, yeah, we'll be ready. It's just, I'll get there. We'll get there when we get there, and we'll be ready, and it's going to be excellent.
Well, we have been spinning and supporting �々𝘶𝑗𝑔𝘐 as much as we can over here for you. And
thank you very much.
We are enjoying it, and the video is out there on YouTube and things like that if anybody wants to check that out as well. Tell me about where did you come up with, why is it the Sleepwalker tour? Is there any special meaning behind that?
Oh, there's a ton of special meaning behind that. So I grew up in St. Louis, as you know, and when I was little, I lived in the Central West End. And I used to sleepwalk a lot. I used to sleepwalk down the street. I used to sleepwalk all around my house. And I literally remember like unbolting the door and going outside in this one summer night and going down to my friend Millie's house and banging on the back door. And I didn't understand why everything was dark and nobody was coming to the door. And I was starting to get mad about it because it just didn't seem right. And so then I decided, okay, I'm going to go home now. So I started walking home, and there was a night watchman because it was a private street, and everybody knew him. His name was Jay, and he woke me up because here was little, Louise Post, like walking down the street in her underwear at who knows what time, right? Like maybe 1 a.m. I have no idea. And I was traumatized by being woken up because I didn't know where I was, and I was shocked. And that would happen a lot where, my parents would wake me up. If I was sleepwalking around the house, I'd go downstairs and start banging on the piano. My brother told me he would hear like one note coming out of the piano, and it makes me think of like Poltergeist or something, or he would go down, with trepidation, go downstairs and find little me at the piano just playing like one note in the dark.
That is crazy.
So when I was making this record and all the songs, or many of the songs, were coming out of sort of dream state of like not being quite asleep, but not being awake anymore, like on my way to sleep. I would be woken up by a melody, and this idea would just seize me, and I would hear this melody, and I'd think, I've got to sing this into my phone or it's gone forever. Or like in the middle of the night, I'd wake up from a dream of a full-blown song, like one of the best songs I'd ever heard. And if I didn't like sing it into my phone right away, it was gone forever. And a lot of them have been like songs that I was just like, I'll remember it in the morning. It's so vivid. I'll remember it. And I never remember it.
Yeah. We have I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so like when I was coming up with the title for this album, Sleepwalker just came out to me because it just popped out just into my head because I've always identified as a sleepwalker. And I think it had, at the time, when I look back on it, a lot to do with my parents having troubles in their marriage and probably just acting out in that way. Processing it. I had night terrors and things, and I've always had a really active dream life. So when people started like dropping acid and stuff, I was not interested in that. It's like, I'm good. I'm really good. I have scary dreams already. I don't need that. Anyway, so I just thought sleepwalker is what I've always identified as. And so I ended up naming my record that, and then I went home to St. Louis to shoot the album cover. Originally, I asked my little brother Eric to photograph it, but he has 4 littles, and he's pretty in a full-time job, and he was didn't have much bandwidth left, and so my bestie came in town and shot the photos, and my nieces participated in it. They were playing like younger me, and we shot the record cover outside in Webster Groves, and the inside is one of my nieces sleepwalking in her nightgown, sort of representing my younger self. So it's very meaningful, all of it, and that's why it's called the Sleepwalker Tour.
It's very cool when you can come full circle and get family and friends involved with that type of thing and the art, and that'll be something that you'll remember the rest of your life, and they'll remember the rest of their life. Like, hey, I was on an album cover for my aunt, that's a beautiful thing.
And also, I hope so. And also, it was freezing cold out. I probably won't ever forget that either. Like my poor friend Nina, who was taking the photos, her fingers were like freezing off, and we were all running around in bare feet and nightgowns. And it was like it was totally St. Louis winter. So we suffered for it, but it was so worth it because I love the album cover. I love the inserts, and it's exactly what I hoped for. It's exactly what I envisioned.
Hi, Louise. This is Rusty.
Hey.
So, talking about your new solo album, thanks for letting me be one of the privileged few that have heard it from beginning to end. I've spun it quite a few times since I've got a hold of it, and absolutely love it. I'm excited for everyone else to be able to get to hear it on the 2nd. So,
thank you.
I guess my question for you would be, with this album, how different was the writing process for you compared to when you had to write for Veruca Salt?
Well, the funny thing is that I'd never set out to make a solo record per se. I would have been happy making another Veruca Salt record after Ghost Notes, but the energy in the band just wasn't quite there. And so as I kept writing, even sort of in spite of myself, like I wasn't looking necessarily to write. I joined forces with a couple other musicians that it just happened inadvertently that I knew from my neighborhood, and we wrote some songs and recorded them, and I have this EP to release, but I put it on hold because I was writing so many songs that really made themselves known to be for this album. And with Veruca Salt, like I've always written on my own with Veruca Salt. I've always written with guitar first or piano first, mainly guitar, because that was really the instrument that was the gateway to songwriting for me. And I pick up the guitar, I play some chords, and out comes a song. It's usually like whatever happens is going on at that moment. It just lets itself be known. And suddenly I'm writing a song. It's never felt like pulling teeth to write songs. It just comes out naturally. And it's sort of like if I pick up a guitar, a song will come. And during this whole process, it's more like the melody and the song came first and just popped up in my head. Like I said, like while I was sleeping or I was listening to something else, I would hear like a little segment of a different song. And then a half an hour later or something while like making dinner, that's a different song would sort of appear and come out of that. And I was just in this intensely creative mode over the past few years that made itself known that like, okay, I'm making a record, whatever it's under, I'm making a record. And I got like, once I realized it was really my own record, I got really comfortable with that. And it was really liberating to not have the kind of the weight of the mantle of Veruca Salt and on my own shoulders alone or with, the full band. It just felt like I can do whatever I want. And it was more of like a self-exploration time. Like, what am I doing here? I'm just going to write the songs I feel like writing. And it was all just really natural and not, as like not as guitar heavy as I've written in the past, because it just wasn't, I didn't feel the need to plug in and make, a shit ton of noise. I just felt like, just found myself writing, slightly different style of music. And that was just what came naturally to me.
Yeah. And that's obviously at first listen, that I'm hearing, it's a little quieter, a little softer. Obviously very melodic. There's a few tracks that, there's one in particular, Killer, I think it was, right? I think that was the name of it. There's a heavy song on there. There's a few exceptions. So, yeah, for me, I didn't know what to expect, and I'm assuming the rest of the Veruca Salt fans are the same way. They're sitting on the edge of their chairs waiting for this to hear. And I think, a good precursor to this for the people that are waiting, your demo EP that you put out a few months ago, But I Love You Without Mascara. I think that kind of gives a good lead into this. I don't know, maybe I'm way off on that, but good.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, that's at least what I hear from it.
That's so interesting because those songs were written for the next Veruca Salt record, and that I intended on making with the band at the time. I think Jim had left the band, but it was me, and it was me and Nina and Steve and 𝗙cie, and that the plan was those were demos for that record. But on some level, even at that moment, I was conscious of the possibility that these were just for me because of the sort of the temperature at the time of what was happening in the band. And I think I knew on some level that I went in the studio on my own. I recorded these on my own. I didn't need the band for it. I played the bass, I played guitar, I did all the vocals. And I guess in that sense, it was my first post Veruca Salt, like solo, output, but I didn't actually release it and these songs until as you said, like a few months ago, last summer. And because a friend of mine kept pressuring me to put them out, the guy who played drums on them, he kept saying, these songs are really good. You need to get them out. And finally it just felt like the right time. Like, maybe it's just sort of an offering to the fans for having been quiet for so long. And I just wanted to share them. I just wanted to share them with people who cared and wanted to hear them. And it was the first thing I think I've ever put out under my own name. And for me, that's the bridge. Like, that's the important bridge from Veruca Salt to Sleepwalker, is the fact that it was just me. And I feel like the production and the songs themselves are quite different, and they were certainly written at a different time. But it's interesting that you made that connection. Yeah,
I just, obviously knowing the history of, hearing some interviews of you explaining the demos. I was trying to, get in the frame of mind, like, and I think you answered a little bit. You kind of were uneasy, not knowing exactly where the band was going. And in a way, and maybe I'm way off here again, that it kind of parallels to this time, because it sounds like, with the band being on hiatus right now, and you writing songs, that maybe it's just, okay, it's me putting songs out again under my name.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, it's like the band isn't active, and I still am. And what am I going to do with that? This time I'm not going to sit on these songs for so many years. Like, these demanded to be like written and recorded, and it's sort of like the faucet got turned on and it just hasn't stopped. And the only problem with going on tour and all of the things that go along with that is because I love playing live, and I can't wait to connect with fans in person. It's so meaningful, and it's just a different aspect of all of this, and one that makes it all even way more meaningful. That said, the only downside is that I can't spend more time in the studio, because right after getting out of the studio recording Sleepwalker, I had like 4 songs on hand that I really wanted to put on the record, but we had decided to keep it to 11 songs. My producer wanted to keep it to 9. I was like, how about 12? And we settled on 11. And I have so many more songs that I want to record. So I went right back in the studio and started this EP that hopefully will come out on the heels of Sleepwalker, and haven't had a chance to finish it. And not to mention all the other songs that are just like floating around in my head and in my voice memos on my phone. So I can't wait to record more.
So when you put this album together, did you ever have it in your mind that, that you would want to tour with it? And then, how did you put it together to where you needed a band to play with this?
Well, where I knew I needed a band to play?
Well, yeah, like, did you ever think of just going out solo by yourself and playing some of these songs, or did you always know that you needed a band with you?
Well, that's really interesting, because I really didn't know what this was going to be like live. I really wasn't sure. I definitely did not want to go out with an acoustic guitar and just have it be me stripped down. Although I'm not opposed to doing that kind of stuff for radio and special shows or, various performances. That's just not where I am. And in fact, as you know, from having heard the song, there's more like electronic drums and instrumentation, and I played more with tracks. And if anything, the only thing that I entertained other than putting together a band to support this album was playing to tracks, because I'm not really like morally opposed to that at this point. I don't really mind that. It's really bold. I'm a big Post Malone fan. And I went and saw him play, and it's just so wild to just see like one guy just like fill an arena with his fans and then just like play to his own tracks. And he has a couple guests come on, you know? And, I mean, it's a choice. It's really a choice. But I also saw him on Kimmel play one of my favorite songs called Go Flex. And I remember thinking like, oh, that band is so distracting. Like he doesn't really need them. That said, that's not my art. It's not my life. That's not my, you know, my trajectory or my path. I really love playing with musicians, and my producer on this record was, no pun intended, really instrumental in making this album. He was really involved. He wrote some really creative parts. He was heavily involved in the production, especially in songs like All These Years, What About? He really made some magic, and he wanted to be in the live band and you know, use some of the tracks that we recorded. And once he was on board, I was like, all right, we're doing this. We're creating a live band, and this is going to go on the road. And I wasn't, up until then, I couldn't really I wasn't really clear on what it was going to be. And I pulled in 𝘚𝘭𝘠𝗵𝗺, who toured with me on Veruca Salt 4 and made that record with me in 2006. And she has since played in the Pumpkins, and she played in these various other bands. And she's incredibly talented and just a joy to be around, and I adore her. So I asked if she would play live, and she came on, and she's in the band, and a couple other really, really like hot ass players. They came on to play, and it's just like this group of really good people who are super talented. This guy Rob Sanchez is playing drums. This guy Randall Blaschke is playing guitar, and it's like they're super nice and humble and so pro, and like it's just really cool. So I'm so excited about playing live with these guys.
Well, plus there's something to be said when you just hit that, you know, maybe a song is off a little bit at the beginning, and then you guys just like hit that groove, and it just, and plus you're friends, so you're just looking over and you're just like, oh, this is amazing. Now we're in that groove, and the show's going great. So there's something to be said for that, and having full band. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be lonely if out there on my own. Like, I love playing with people. I love being in a band. Ever since I was little, I wanted to be in a band. Ever since I laid eyes on Abbey Road and Fleetwood Mac Rumors and, you know, whatever else. Like, I wanted to definitely play in a band with other people and find that magic. And I feed off of it. I love it. I love being on tour. I love the hilarity and the silliness that always comes out of being on tour, and the magic that happens on stage. It's incredible.
So, what do you think has been the favorite moment playing live, whether it be a venue or a certain city or anything like that? What do you think was your favorite?
Wow, that's a big question. I wish I had one, but I'll tell you. I'll tell you one that comes to mind. Well, I'll tell you a couple. One is that I remember like playing on Ghost Notes when my band Veruca Salt went out on tour. I remember playing 25, and that's the last song on American Thighs. It's our first record, and it's one of my favorite songs that we ever released. And I had, you know, a lot of time had passed since we had toured together, and I had this moment where my eyes were closed, and we were playing 25, and I could kind of see Nina out of the corner of my eye, like a shadow of her. And it was as if we were transported through time to when we were first playing that song. And here we were, like, different times of our lives. So much water under the bridge. So much had passed, and hearts had been broken and mended. And here we were having this incredibly healing moment and playing 25. And it was, if I squint, it was just us like in our 20s playing this song for the first time, like on their first tour. And to that end, like I remember playing 25 in Paris, and we were in Europe for the first time. We didn't know if anyone had heard our record or our music or anyone knew us. And the whole idea that like music could travel that far and that anyone would have possibly known anything beyond our single 𝘂𝘁 was probably pretty bloody unlikely to us that anyone would know our album. And we were playing this little club in Paris, and everyone in this club was singing along to 25, all the lyrics. And we just looked at each other like, is this really happening? And it was so just incredibly touching. And when we got back together and toured on this EP that we put out in 2014, we played at the Music Hall of Williamsburg. And at one point, somebody yelled out, "I love you," or "we love you," between songs. And the whole place that was sold out just went into a roar of applause and yelling and clapping. And we just stood there like for the longest time, just suspended in this moment of accepting the love from the audience. And this was after, a big stormy breakup, a lot of time apart, different solo records being put out, and then like having healed all of these old wounds and all the four of us coming back together. And, for people who cared, it was never imagined that this would actually come to fruition. Like, it was a done deal. We were broken up, and here we were. And the love that just poured over us and flooded over us at that moment was really incredible. It made me cry. It was really something.
Yeah, that's the power and magic of music, man.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. Thank you for that answer. I know that went pretty deep, so I appreciate that very much. How about we talk about, I know you have a new single coming out soon. It's called What About? Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, What About? It's actually out now. It just dropped yesterday, and I'm deeply proud of it, as I am of this whole record. It's exactly the record I wanted to make, Sleepwalker. Like from the title to to the last song, it is exactly what I wanted to make. And What About was one of the first songs that I wrote an acoustic guitar, and it was one of the first songs that let me know that I was making this record, because I knew it was really special. And it's really about like being in the aftermath of losing someone that you love, like the shock of it, and feeling really disoriented and not knowing like how to proceed without this person in your life. And the feeling of like, whether it's someone who has like, left your life suddenly and you feel deserted, or whether it's someone like who up and died on you, like the feeling of what am I supposed to do now? And of like, how could you possibly leave me, stranded here without you? Like when you've known such intimacy and had such a promise, and we're planning a future together, right? Mm-hmm. And always imagined that you would always be together. And like, how someone navigates that kind of that life after that measure of loss, that gravity of that kind of loss.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's everybody take a little peek of it, and we'll come back here in a moment, and we'll talk more with Louise Post here on Beyond FM.
incident? What about the things you said to me? What about the things you read to me? What about the buffalo? They were there, I told you so. What about the things you kept from me? What about the things you left? I said, ooh. I'm like, ooh. I said, ooh. I said, ooh. I'm like, ooh. I said, ooh. What about the movie nights? What about your appetite? What about the things you plan to be? What about the door you slammed on me? What about the stolen car? Look at you, a rising star. What about the cards returned to me? What about the times you burned? What about the cold hard facts and the evidence that stacks against your true love? What did you do, love? Oh, what about the disappearing acts and the blood on the tracks? Now you're not here, love. Not one more tear, love. Oh.
The best of everything STL Beyond FM and the new one from Louise Post, What About? And while I got everybody's ear for a second, just want to remind everybody that we are an internet radio station that plays everything STL and surrounding areas. Of course, we reach out to, the Springfields and Columbias and even further a little bit, but that's what we do. We support the scene. We have our own app. It's called Beyond FM 24-7. You can also listen online on our website at beyondfm24-7.com. I know Rustin's got a whole bunch of questions still to get in, so I'm going to turn it over to him. Go ahead, Rustin, man. Have at it.
All right. You still with us, Louise?
Yeah, I'm right here.
All right. Like I said, we've never had a call in, so you're the first.
Well, I have. You've never had a call in because you're kind of new, but I've had
I'm the new guy around here, so bear with me here. So, that single for What About? It's only been out a couple days. Have you gotten much reception on that from the general populace?
Yeah, definitely. It's been really good reception, and some of my favorite publications picked it up and announced it, and the people that I care, most about, the people who have loved my music in the past, my band's music, they seem to be, from all the comments I read, at least people who are commenting are really digging the song. And some very particular comments, not comments, but messages I've gotten from people really special to me have just made me feel like, okay, I've achieved it. I achieved what I set out to do. And one of those is for my younger brother, Eric. And he said, the song really moved him, and that he thought maybe it was my best work. And that was, it was just the nicest thing to hear from my brother. And my older brother, Kenny, he's heard the whole record, and he felt similarly about the album. And, those are the people that really, really matter to me. And, it's like, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough good coming my way to make me feel like I'm on top of the world.
Yeah, it's always great to know that your art is well received. So
yeah,
kind of harkening back to what you said earlier about how you write songs. Is it, with all your songs that you've written, do they all start with guitar, or do you actually have melodies and then put the guitar on it later?
Well, like I said, in this particular set of songs and the way I've been writing lately, it's the melodies have been coming first, and then I have to grab a guitar to figure out what the instrumentation is. I often, because I don't have an instrument near me, I'll just sing the melody into my phone, and then I'll sing the bass line so that I don't so that the song is grounded and I can hear what chords I'm imagining underneath it. If I have a guitar handy, then I'll grab it and try to sort of figure out the chords right away, or a piano. Like the song Hollywood Hills, I was house sitting for a friend and dog sitting. And I woke up from a dream where this female fronted band was singing the song Hollywood Hills. It was pretty aggro rock. It was much more rock than the song ended up being. And it was one of those moments which I have often, where I wake up and I think, oh man, I wish I wrote that song. And then I think, wait, I just did. That's what just happened. And this is mine. And so they had a piano. So I was an electric piano that I went over to, and I found the chords of the song. So it ended up, the piano stayed, and that's how that song came about. But I was already writing it when I had to find an instrument to figure out how the instrumentation actually went underneath the melody.
And that's actually my favorite song on the album. Do you mind if we play a little sample for everybody on that? Because that is my favorite.
I don't mind at all. I love it. Thank you.
We'll play a little sample, and we'll be back in 30 seconds or so. This is Hollywood Hills. This is Louise Post.
Was it Hollywood Hills? You looked like hell. I could tell what you'd been doing. It was dark outside. We might as well, 'cause the rest was already ruined. They were Hollywood pills. We took like 12, 'cause the night was just getting started. And we climbed so high, and away we fell, and we burst into flames, so broken hearted. Ooh.
Little sample of Hollywood Hills. Love it. Love that song.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely my favorite track on the album. I was glad you agreed to let us at least tease all the fans out there for a little bit.
Yeah, totally. It's hard to turn it off, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's got such a good vibe to it, man. That's what I like about it.
Thank you. It's sort of a hypnotic song.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you guys like it. That means a lot to me. I appreciate it. It's good to know.
Yeah, so
maybe we'll make it a single.
I'd advise it because that doot is very catchy, and I love the piano in it, and it's kind of something a little bit different for you, and I think it's what the kids call a banger.
Thank you.
So since we're on the subject of kids, your daughter, does she have any music that that she's introduced you to? Because I know I got two sons. I got a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old, and some of the stuff that they come up with, I'm always like, what is this? And then they introduce me to a totally new artist or group. Do you find yourself in that situation often?
Yeah, my kiddo is 13 also, and loves Lana Del Rey, Taylor Swift, Melanie Martinez, TV girl. A lot of artists that I wouldn't necessarily find or seek out on my own. And yeah, Charlie has really good musical taste and sophisticated musical taste. I learn a lot about music from Charlie, definitely. And I find out that like I'm teaching them music as well. Like all of a sudden I'll hear, I become, what the weird thing is when I started to like realize that Charlie was listening to all this music that I had played for them at various times. And that they were really listening to me and like following my lead and listening to whole records and absorbing all this music. And I would see a playlist on their Spotify and be like, whoa, what is, like, you're listening to all this? Like you listen to the Velvet Underground, you listen to Pink Floyd, like you're listening to all these bands that I played for you. And they're like totally like educating themselves about everything. Beatles, Led Zeppelin, all the music that I loved growing up and more. And then they also have like this whole vocabulary of music that I don't necessarily listen to. And I'm learning a ton about music from them.
Yeah. So a question I always like to ask all my musician friends that have kids, especially, someone that's achieved the level of stardom that you have, do they know how big of a rock star mom is?
That's so funny. Charlie once asked me when they were younger, if I was famous. And I said, it depends on who you ask, because to some people, Veruca Salt was a really big band. And of course, they know who I am. And to other people, it's like, who? The girl from Willy Wonka? So it's just funny. It's like certain people, like we were household name, and I matter a great deal. And to others, we aren't anything noteworthy. So I sort of jokingly said, it depends on you ask, but I meant it, But I think that Charlie has gotten glimpses in recent past of what a big deal Veruca Salt has been. And they were just doing screenshots of various comments on TikTok last night regarding my band. And there was just like this big outpouring of love from some post that somebody did, like discovering 8 Arms to Hold You. And there was this outpouring of of appreciation and love for my band. And Charlie was taking that all in and sending me texts about it. And so that was really interesting. It was like to see my child witness in real time, like sort of process, like, oh, my mom was in a band that was a big deal, or, is a big deal. And also, my kid has a lot of appreciation for my music and often is my first ears on songs. And I care a lot about what they think. Like, I'll say, what do you think of this song? And if they like it, it means a lot to me because I think they have really good taste.
So, sounds like you have a very musical household. I had, started poking into your husband's band, bought that new album. It's great. That's another start to finish great album to listen to.
Thank you.
The 𝘞𝘠𝘠, for the people that are listening, the new album is out. I love it. I'm a vinyl collector too, so I caught your podcast on the vinyl guide.
Yeah, he has a bit of a problem.
So I totally understand, although I'm new to it, how out of control it can get.
One thing you don't know about Rustin too is he collects cassette tapes, which is odd to me. And how many do you have?
I have in my possession at this time over 8,000 tapes.
Oh my God!
One of those being your 4-track demo tape.
Wait,
from the Veruca Salt days. The
really?
one with the red cover you guys were handing out and stuff.
Oh, that wasn't a 4-track demo, but I was doing 4-track demo recordings, but that was like some, maybe 8-track reel to reel or something.
Oh, did it just get converted to a cassette then?
Yeah. We didn't do it on cassette.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. We did it at this guy's home studio in the south side of Chicago. But I do have, that's why I was sort of like, whoa, because I do have tapes that I recorded on 4-track, but we didn't release those. So people sometimes have some of those songs that were converted digitally at some point. But yeah, that was actually in someone's basement in his home studio.
Yeah, and I'm always, go ahead.
Well, I'm so impressed by the fact that you have that demo. That was what I brought around to all of the clubs in Chicago, trying to get our first shows, booking our first shows. And I would go and meet the booker. I'd set up a meeting, go when he or she was going to be there, and then follow up with a phone call and just trying to get shows with that cassette. And we got them. People liked it, but I was really persistent. I meant business. I was not messing around. Just to repeat what you said earlier, my husband's album, the 𝘞𝘠𝘠, it's called 𝘠𝘬𝘂𝘊, is spectacular and so beautiful on vinyl. And if you don't have a copy, you should get one. And Rustin, we might even be able to get you one. Just send it directly to you if you would like it, because it is it's so worth it. It's like eye candy, and it's incredible to experience. And I've always cared a lot about our album artwork. Tony certainly does. I always have on my own. And it's funny, that little cassette had just our drummer Jim was an artist, a visual artist, and he did the salt shaker with V on it. That was his little symbol that he created for us, and he did the artwork for that little cassette. The little cassette that could.
Do you have any idea how many of those were ever made?
I think we made I want to say 300, maybe more.
Oh, okay. Still, for one of those to still be floating around and crazy fans like me to snag one.
I know, it's incredible. I'm so impressed.
And the importance of that tape itself is great to me, but also one of my favorite songs that you've written is on that tape, Wolf. That's my favorite Veruca Salt song, and to hear it in its raw form on that tape is amazing.
Wow, thank you so much. I think I love you.
Well, I mean, let me say this. We're not just, we're not, how do I put this? We're not like a radio station that's trying to make money off you. We're fans, and we want to bring you home and have a wonderful time and a good show and see probably maybe family that you haven't seen for a while and things like that. And that's who we are. And with your ties to St. Louis, it makes it even better for us,
Well, I appreciate that. And I'm, I love the song Wolf. It's probably my favorite song that I've ever written in Veruca Salt. So that's very, very close to my heart. So that's why I'm really touched by that. And I'm not like I'm not someone who flew the nest and never came back. Like, I go back pretty regularly because my family's there, and I'm really close to my childhood friends. And I love St. Louis. And if I could get my family to move there, I would live there right now. Because it's home to me. I lived in New York, I lived in Chicago, and I've lived in LA for a long time. And I suppose each one of those is home in its own way, and I feel that sense of homecoming. But St. Louis is in my bones. Like, it's like when I'm not there, I long for it.
Yes.
And
St. Louis is definitely a whole different animal.
Yeah, it really is. And people who aren't from St. Louis don't understand.
No. Especially when you bring up the name Mississippi Nights or something like that, they have no clue. I'm poking at Rustin because he's from Indianapolis and he'd never been to Mississippi Nights. So,
oh yeah, I definitely missed out on that. Since I've gotten with this radio station and really dug deep in the history of St. Louis and its music scene, I've really realized how much I missed out on that place. And we have some friends of ours that wrote a book about Mississippi Nights with all the shows and like ticket stubs and pictures that people have collected from the entire time. It's just an amazing book. And it's funny that Tony brings up Mississippi Nights because I was going to ask you. So in the back of that book, they list every band that's played there. And of course, I had to look you guys up to see if you would play there and how many times you had. Do you remember any specific memories from playing there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember. Well, first of all, I went to a ton of shows there before I played there. One particular one being Fishbone.
Oh, man.
I was 19. And my boyfriend was in the band Blank Space at the time. Then it became The Unconscious, which sort of took over St. Louis for a while. And when I played there later, was when we came through and we were opening for Hole, and we were playing with another band called Madder Rose. So that was on our first record on American Thighs, and it was probably like September of '94. And yeah, I mean, we played there a ton. We played there then. We played there again. We headlined on that record. And then beyond that, I mean, I'm pretty sure we played there a few more times. It was like home to me, going to Mississippi Nights. And I was really sad when it got shut down. And I remember vividly, I remember the bathrooms. I remember my dad would come and my stepmom, and my dad, who's really he was much more of a classical guy. But he was always so in this show tunes guy, he loved Cole Porter, but he was always came to my shows, and he brought my stepmom. I think he might've dragged her, but she came, and they were in their 70s and maybe beyond at one point, but it was so sweet that they came to my shows, and my dad would go straight to the sound man and ask him to turn down the guitars and turn up my vocals. And so that's one of my fondest memories of Mississippi Nights, just that my dad went right to the sound booth. He was like, "Can you please turn up the vocals? I can't make out the vocals."
That is awesome. Dad trying to take care of you.
Yeah, and also he just wanted to hear this. He wanted to hear the voice. Like he's like, "Why would I want to hear these loud guitars? That something is off. Like this must be a mistake." And I had to kind of try to explain to him, like, "Dad, that's sort of the point. Like, it just wasn't his world, you know. It wasn't like it was just sort of foreign to him, and he wanted to be able to hear the vocals. Of course, he wanted to be able to hear us singing." And we were always like telling our sound guy to turn up the guitars. So he was getting some mixed messaging. Why do you ask what my memories are? Is there some kind of like, I don't know, anything like documented that I should know about?
No. We, for me, it's basically living vicariously through the people that were there. I mean, I could sit and listen. I retired from the Air Force a couple of years ago, and it's kind of akin for me to go to like American Legion or VFW and sit and listen to veterans tell all their war stories. So, like, for me to be a huge music fan, not being from here, and obviously when I got here in 2017, it had been long gone. So it's just kind of living vicariously through all the people that were there, just to kind of paint a picture of what that place was, because I mean it just sounded amazing, and I'm so sad that I missed out. I mean, I'm from Indy, and I'm only about 3.5 hours away, and I was a 17, 18-year-old kid, so that's a long drive for a kid. Obviously I go home quite a bit, so it don't bother me anymore. But yeah, I mean that's just all it is, especially from the artists that played there. It adds a little bit more color to the picture when I hear it from the people that stood on the stage.
Yeah, it was such a vibrant place. Like all the bands went through St. Louis, played there. All the local bands played there. Here's a gross story. So we were on tour with the Muffs, and may Kim rest in peace. Kim Shattuck is one of the best performers and musicians and songwriters like that I know of. And she was incredible on stage, and their band was so tight. It was ridiculous. And unfortunately, one of their things was they're kind of punk rock. And one of their things was the bass player would like spit up in the air, and it would land wherever it landed. I don't even want to get into it, but in this case, it landed on my monitor. So we played after them because they opened for us, and I had to deal with it sitting on my monitor the whole time. So how's that for like a lovely story?
There you go.
Nice for
delicious. Speaking of colors, I don't even want to know what color it was. So.
Oh God, no, I don't remember. But like that was pretty grotesque. I remember playing there with Matter Rose and Hole, and that being like, videotaping backstage, and I remember Courtney going like, "What are you filming?" And I was like, I'm not filming you. Don't worry. And I have a bunch of Polaroids from backstage from Mississippi Nights. Just great memories. Like it was a classic venue, It was St. Louis's classic venue to me. I also used to go to Kennedy's a lot. I think that is long gone. Mm-hmm. I grew up down the street from Cicero's and Blueberry Hill. Mm-hmm. So I went to Cicero's quite a bit. And one night I went down to Cicero's, and actually I have a song. I have a song called Cicero's that I've never released. But my friend bartended there, my friend Kathleen, and the band The Unconscious played there, and they played Mississippi Nights and Kennedy, so it was kind of always circulating around these bars. And I went down to Cicero's to see my friend Kathleen. She was tending bar, and there was this band playing from Texas called the Buck Pets, and they were just loud as anything, and they they had like, I don't know if they're burning incense or whatever. There was smoke coming off the stage, and there was the guitar player was playing a black Les Paul custom that ended up being the guitar that I played, not his particular guitar, but the one that I ended up purchasing eventually in Chicago was basically his guitar, and I wasn't even aware of it. But they were so good. They were like Nirvana before Nirvana. Like they were like before Bleach. You know, they were so heavy and sort of ahead of their time. And I don't know what hit me. I did not expect to see that band that night. And we all ended up going to a party together, and that guitar player and I sort of hit it off, but I had this other boyfriend, and they ended up coming to play Maxwell's, and I was going to college in New York, and he wanted to see me, and I ended up not going to the show. And a few years later, I was living in Chicago, and somebody came up to me and said, do you know this band, the Buckpats? And I'm like, God, that rings a bell. And he's like, because there's a song called Song for Louise Post. Think that's about you? And and I listened. I got the record, and he brought me the record, and I listened to it, and I remembered like where, you know, what happened, and this guy Chris Savage, and I remembered like that it was this, you know, it was the romance that never went anywhere, and he wrote a song about it, and it's a killer song. It's amazing, and the band was incredible. And so that's one of my memories from Cicero's that also is no longer, right? There's no Cicero's Basement. So yeah, I lived through that particular time.
Well, hopefully bringing you here to Red Flag will add another memory of St. Louis for you. It's a relatively new venue. I think it opened right before COVID.
Yeah, because I think it was being built right before COVID, and they were supposed to do the grand opening, and then COVID kiboshed the grand opening for at least a year, and then they snuck it in at one time, and then they were very limited. You know how COVID was. It was very limited shows and very, couldn't have very big of an audience and this and that. So now but it is, I mean, you will be, I think, pretty impressed with the venue. It is a work of art.
I'm so excited to see it. A friend of mine from high school, his friend designed it. I understand that there's train cars,
shipping containers.
Shipping containers. Sorry, that are purposed as booths, separate private booths, or I don't know what it looks like. I've only seen pictures. Yeah. But yeah, I'm really excited to play Red Flag. I'm really excited that we get to come to St. Louis. I made it happen. I was like, we are absolutely going to St. Louis. In fact, drop me off there so I can hang out with my family after. Well, so it's our last stop on the tour. Yeah,
and I mean, once again, as a huge fan of yours and Veruca Salt, and I've been in talks with your booking agent, probably since January to try to get you down here.
Oh my God.
And in the beginning, it was more, she's doing a solo album right now. And I don't know at that time if you'd actually kick the idea around of coming out with a band, but obviously I kind of just held off on it a little bit, just kind of seeing which direction you went. And, I was pretty heavily in trying to get you here. And then, all of a sudden, all the releases online came out about your new album and your tour, and I saw the Ready Room, and I'm like, the Ready Room isn't open. It's, pun intended, not
in the
ready.
History. And since you know the history of some of the venues that came around, so the Ready Room used to be in a different building, and then the people who owned the Ready Room bought the Atomic Cowboy, if you remember the Atomic Cowboy up off in the Grove. And that place, I don't think ever got off the ground. I think they have a lot of building issues and things like that. So fortunately for us, then I think that got canceled, and then Rustin was
Swooped
relentless.
right in. Yeah. Oh boy.
He was ready to pounce.
Oh yeah. And I mean, you know, what better situation to have your tour end in St. Louis?
No, it's perfect.
Oh yeah.
It's perfect.
I mean, I'm so glad that you're excited to come back home and finish your tour at home.
Oh my God. And then I'm going to go jump into my brother's pool. Yeah, I played the Ready Room twice, the old venue. And my brother actually is also a photographer, as I may have mentioned, and he had a show at the 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗏. So I've been there too. And obviously the Ready Room wasn't ready for this tour. So that was a misprint. But I'm so glad it worked out this way. And thank you for being so persistent, Rustin, because this is obviously like the way it's meant to be. Yeah, for sure. And that's one thing, that served me well in the military is my persistence. I don't like the word no. And if I hear the word no, then, I'm going to keep trying until, it's evident that it's not going to work out. And, there were several other factors in me trying to get you here. And I'm just glad the stars aligned to where it was just like, boom, you can do it. And I mean, I've been on the edge of my seat the whole time. Just the anxiety's kicked up a level. Go ahead. No, I was going to say, I share that trait with you. Like, don't tell me no, because I'll do it anyway.
I mean, that's served me well, learning this promoter stuff. Because, I mean, I'm 20 years in the military. I did, what I got trained how to do. Never really truly enjoyed it. Once I retired, I was left with the question of what the hell do I do when I grow up? And I knew I wanted to be in radio or do something with music. And obviously, being 41 years old when I retired out of the military, it's kind of tough for a 40-year-old guy that's not had any radio experience or, schooling, I guess, to jump into radio. And I got lucky with meeting Tony and somebody that shares the same, passion and drive that I do. And he's basically just, left me unleashed to do what I need to do to get shows. And, that personality trait has served me pretty well in getting shows here. So I'm, I love it. And, the best part of the job is getting to do this, talk to one of my favorite artists, bring them here to share them with everybody that's going to be at the show.
Well, it sounds like we're both doing what we love to do, and that's a blessing, And let me just say thank you for your service.
And thank you.
My brother-in-law was in the Army for probably as much time, and he sort of faced a similar thing, like after retiring, like what am I doing next? And we can only hope to be so lucky as to do what we love, right? And so I'm like ecstatic and I'm so grateful that I get to make this record, put it out, and go tour on it, because that's where my passion lies. I mean, I have many passions, but that is one of them that is maybe the loudest and proudest and most persistent, which is the word of the day.
Right. And, I live by the saying that I've heard, and I'm sure you've probably heard it, that if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
I love that.
So I'm living proof of that. I love doing this. So, so on this tour, are you able to give us any insight on what the set list may look like?
I can tell you that originally my vision was to just play Sleepwalker front to back. And as I talked to people about it, especially people who are big Veruca Salt fans and can't wait to see this tour, who haven't heard Sleepwalker, it became really clear to me pretty quickly that they were hoping to hear some Veruca Salt songs. And I was like, oh, right. Yeah, I should probably do that. So I now it's like more of a mix. It's various songs interspersed throughout. And it's an array of songs from the past from different Veruca Salt records. So there'll be some, I think, surprises for people, hopefully happy surprises. I drew from all of the albums. And there's not enough time to play all the stuff I want to play. Like, I had to narrow it down. I can't believe like this is in a way my producer / guitar player keyboardist now Matt. He was like, "This is kind of a career retrospective for you." And I thought, wow, that's weird. But when I'm looking at all these albums, it's really hard. It's a quality problem, but it's hard to choose which songs should go on the set list. And the good news is that playing these Veruca Salt songs with this new band, even though I've played them with Nicole, as she and I toured together extensively on Veruca Salt, the rest of the songs, I didn't know what they'd sound like playing them with different people. And they were incredible. Like, it's just incredible. So they're going to be really fun to play. It'll be great to play the new stuff, and it'll be really, really fun to play old stuff. You got any requests? Just wondering.
Yes.
How much time do you have? So, oh boy, what one? If I had to pick one, obviously Wolf. Wetsuit would be another one.
That's nice. I've heard that one quite a bit, and we haven't worked that one up yet. I'd really like to.
So mentioning Nicole, I'm a huge fan of hers as well. I'm a huge Pumpkins fan, so obviously the era that she was there in the Pumpkins, I was sad to see her leave that band. But with her in the band, are there any songs from the fourth album on there? Are they on your set list?
Yeah, definitely. We were eager to play some of those because we wrote them together. They came about when we were together, and so it's really fun for us because we never really wanted that iteration of the band to break up. Like, if anything, I had found the definitive lineup to forge forward in the future with at that juncture. And we put out VS4, and again, like, so deeply proud of the record. I loved touring with that band. We were so tight. It was like next level performance, and musicianship. Like, playing with Kelly Scott on drums was like it was otherworldly for me. And I used to be really really particular about all the fills and every single hit. And with Kelly, one night I remember just playing this show in San Diego and he was playing Spider-Man, and he was just going off on the choruses. And I thought, Kelly can do whatever he wants. Like, he's his own animal, and he's taking these songs to a new level I didn't even know existed. So I stopped trying to tell Kelly what to do at that point. And we were just such a tight band, and it was so much fun. But it came around to like the end of that touring cycle, and it just felt like a few things. It felt like an uphill battle at that point, like making stuff happen for myself without like a big machine behind me. It was obviously a lot of hard work, and the rewards were profound, but like it's just like again, just like swimming upriver instead of swimming downriver. And I really wanted to have a baby, so that took precedence. And so the band never really broke up. I never said this is it, and so we kind of drifted away and drifted apart from one another. And there was never any love lost between any of us. It was just a really tight group. And so Nicole and I have remained friends all these years, and I'm so excited to get to play with her and play some of those songs again. And again, there's just not enough time to play all the ones that I want to.
How about Laughing in the Sugar Bowl? That's my request.
Is it? Shit.
Yeah. Don't ask us. We'll come off sideways. We'll...
Oh, man. I really want to play that one, too.
Well, maybe a special St. Louis encore.
Well, you know what? By the time we get there, we will have had time to work up some new songs. So I'll put Wetsuit and Sugar Bowl in my back pocket. How's that?
That's awesome.
I don't know about Wolf. I don't know if I can do Wolf.
Okay.
I want to, Rustin. I really do. For you, I really do. But that's me and Nina. Like,
okay.
Just entwined. Our voices are entwined. And we did play it on our last tour, and it was just like such a joy to play. And I could certainly do it with someone else, but it's like there's something very particularly sentimental about that song. We'll play some other ones that'll make you happy. How's that?
Okay, can I do a 1B? How about now? I'm the one making the request instead of other people coming up.
Go for it.
Straight. Is that another
All right,
one?
we got you there. We got you there, man.
All right. Heck yeah.
We got you covered.
All right.
Good. And by the way, he's ear to ear right now. He's smiling.
So yeah, he's been giving me crap about this interview for weeks since because he knows how much of a big fan I am, and I know, like, I guess I'll just come out and say, yeah. So,
are you going to do it?
No.
Okay.
But, so I heard on a couple of podcasts where you had mentioned that when you were growing up and going to shows or whatever, that Jackson Browne was somebody that you really liked and called him dreamy. So I guess not to embarrass myself, that you were my Jackson Browne.
Aww. That's so sweet.
And sadly enough, the last time I saw you was on the 8 Arms tour in a little club in northern Kentucky, just outside of Cincinnati. And
oh my God.
Yeah, oh man, how?
Wait, Louisville, Kentucky?
No, so it's Covington, Kentucky. It's just on the other side of the rivers. It's pretty much Cincinnati, but in Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
It was called Caddies. It's no longer there either. All the good venues are gone.
Okay.
So
wait, this was on the 8 Arms tour?
Yeah, you guys were playing with Fig Dish.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I actually still have that shirt too.
So, that's so cool.
Yeah, I don't throw a lot of stuff away. That's a big problem.
I warn you now, he may have a silver Sharpie in that shirt when he...
I'm down. Let's sign it all. I'll sign anything. I'll sign your Converse from the 90s. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, they would have been... no, I think you nailed it, because I was a big 1-star guy. I wasn't Chuck Taylor guy. I don't even know if they make 1-stars anymore, but
I don't either. But I signed a lot of them. I signed butts. I signed Converse. I signed arms, and they turned into tattoos. I signed chests. I signed boobs. Signed a lot of things.
So, I guess on the subject of tattoos, I've just got on some of the Veruca Salt fan pages on Facebook and Instagram, and it's just crazy to find a network of people that are just as crazy about you and your band as I am. How does it make you feel, or what do you feel that when you see someone tattoo either your song lyrics or imagery from your band, anything like any inside the booklet or the covers?
Well, I mean, it's like a tremendous honor to have someone love your music that much that they would want to do that. And it's also really hard to comprehend, even though I grew up loving music and being such a fan of so much music and personalizing the lyrics and applying them to my own life, and I still do, because I'm a fan of music. I'm a fan of musical artists. And once a song is released, I find as a musician and as someone who is on the receiving end of art, it is no longer the artist. It's like universal property, right? It's sort of like breastfeeding. Before I had a child, my breasts were my business. But as soon as I had a child, my breasts were everyone else's business, because the nurse and my husband and the doctor and the baby and all of that. With music, it's all mine until I release it, and then it's for everybody, and that's the beauty of it. And Luckily I got my breasts back, but you never get your songs back. They always, they go out into the world and they become whoever that has their ears on them, whoever connects to it. And, so I know that I've treasured songs and still do. Most recently I've been listening to this Taylor Swift song, Snow on the Beach, on repeat. And it's like I lost a friend recently, and the song, I drove my daughter crazy by just saying, like, we put on Snow on the Beach again, because it just, it was just my solace, you know. It was just the song that no matter how many people love that song, and a lot do, it's still very special to me. So, and that's just one example. I could give you millions. And so the idea that, like, my songs have touched people in those very personal ways and accompanied them through important times. Like, I can't tell you the number of people that have said Resolver got them through their teenage years and like kept them company through their parents' divorce and made them, you know, got them through really tough times or really tough breakups. It's the most rewarding thing I could ever hear and imagine. And it's also really hard to process that information. Like, to, even though I'm a huge fan of music, to know that, like, something I've written and put out there has connected with someone that much. It's the biggest motivation to keep doing it. And yet that extends to, like, the tattoos. Like, really? You know, like, us, me? It's mind blowing. It's hard for me to process it. But I really, like, care deeply about and notice and honor, like, the amount of time and effort that the Veruca Salt fans put into the fandom, because these are some seriously devoted people, and they connect and have met, like, one another and made friendships through, like, from the chat board eras, even before that, to, like, now, and Facebook groups. People are connecting through music, and I didn't have that growing up. You know, like, my best friend and I loved Prince, so we would collect everything Prince related, and we'd go out to the mall and go to the store called Merry-Go-Round and, like, buy all of the Prince. Do you remember Merry-Go-Round?
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, that store, and it had all the Prince gear, like the Purple Rain era. And we wanted to be him. We wanted to date him. We wanted to embody him. Like, and we would just bond over Prince and go to his concerts together. And we would also love the Velvet Underground. And we'd all bond, and that's how we'd connect. But, like, there was no internet. And so, these people are so devoted, so dedicated, and they really care about each member, and, like, always wish each one of us happy birthday on the social media. And, like, it's just lovely. It's really incredible, like, the level of support that I feel from the fan base that we have. They're really loyal and really dedicated and devoted.
Right. And that, you know, just my experience since I've gotten into there, you know, I thought I knew a lot about you guys and your music and, you know, releases and stuff like that. But there are some people out there that, I mean, obviously have followed you since day one, and that's awesome. Unfortunately, you know, my service brought me to different parts of the country that, you know, didn't get a whole lot of tours through. So I missed you guys a lot in your heyday. So that's one of my biggest regrets is, you know, now that I'm older, you know, I'll drive 7-8 hours to go see a band, and it doesn't bother me.
You're just catching up, man. This is still my heyday, by the way. So.
Oh yeah, and I'm anxious to be a part of your solo heyday for sure.
This is, like, the most important thing that's happening right now, like, in my life and in my world. So I'm glad to be able to share it with you, because we have today, right?
Oh yeah, for sure,
definitely.
So, I had it too.
And I'm like you.
He had it.
I had it, man. I was on a roll. I didn't have any breaks and any questions I had, and then I just. It's like that old, when the TV used to go off at night. Beep, like.
I will go. I'm like pretty crazy about going to concerts right now. I'm so busy right now, like promoting this record and launching this record. I don't have much bandwidth to like go to that many shows. But ever since the pandemic, when everything shut down, I feel like my appreciation for live music has skyrocketed, and there's nothing like it. Like the euphoria that I feel watching a band play, is really like nothing else. And watching the response, I took it for granted before,
I think a lot of people did, definitely.
Yeah. It's a different experience now, like just the fact that you really appreciate how much it took, or maybe it's just because I know what it takes to tour, but I look at how much effort went into getting to this venue at this night. And I know that this particular night is extraordinary. It is a special experience that only I and this group of people will experience. And they may be YouTube videos, videos from people's iPhone cameras, or maybe they'll do a concert tour, film or something. But like nothing compares to this sweaty moment right now, watching this live. And it's electric. And that's how I feel going out on this tour. Like I've always felt as soon as the show starts, like, all right, the boat is leaving the dock, and you can either be on the boat or you can stay off. You can stay on the dock, but I'm heading out. Like, let's go. And it feels like a journey. And by the end of the night, I'm usually like sweaty enough to show for it. That I throw myself into it. I'm always fully committed, and that goes for music as well. Like, why do it otherwise? If the passion isn't going to be there, if I'm not fully committed, if I don't want to really do this, I wouldn't do it. Like, this has got to be full on and 100% in and 2 feet in and like absolutely committed and present, or just stay at home. Like, there's no point. So that's how I look at music. That's how I look at making records. That's how I look at touring. It's I'm 100% in. And I hope that the audience is there with me.
Well, I hope they're there with you July 22nd at Red Flag.
Nice plug.
The homecoming. Yeah, see how you like that? It's called a segue.
See, I got a lot to learn then, I guess.
Yeah. We really appreciate you sitting down with us for this long and just chatting it up and I know you grudged up some memories and shared some things, and it means a lot to us. And if we were here, we'd all do big hugs and things like that. And so maybe we'll get those on July 22nd.
We'll definitely, hugs will be going all around on July 22nd. And I can't wait to meet you guys in person. And I really appreciate you having me on my hometown station and hosting me in my hometown. I can't wait to come home and play for my St. Louis people and get to see good friends and family and have a really good last show, a celebratory last show at the end of the tour.
I got one more question, and I usually ask this of other St. Louis artists, and so do you have a favorite St. Louis band that you can think of?
I thought you were going to say pizza, and I was ready to talk about emos, but
well, that too.
And but if we're going to talk about bands, I want to know what's going on with this band Sleepy Kitty. Can you find out for me? They're really good, and I know that they're in St. Louis, and I know they were putting out music as of like 2018, 2017. But I couldn't figure out what was going on.
I had thought that Sleepy Kitty, naturally were from here, and I thought that they relocated to Chicago.
Oh, did they?
I think so.
Okay. Well, can we still call them a St. Louis band?
Yeah. I think we do play one Sleepy Kitty track.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Is it called math? Is it something involving math?
Let me double check.
Yeah, I'm doing my research as well too. The one that I found on Facebook says, "Oh, okay, here we go. They're in New York."
Oh, they're in New York now.
Oh, wow. They really moved.
Yeah, we play. What is it? Eliza, which is probably a kind of an older track, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to track them down and start listening. You tell me, who do I need to listen to in St. Louis?
You know what?
St. Louis?
You know what I'll do? I'll send you some lists of bands, and I had one already set up. I was going to play "Laughing in His Sleep" in the Sugar Bowl, or I was going to play a band called the 𝘚𝘭𝘏𝘓, which I think that you would really like. They are a great kind of they're punk rock, but they flip flop around a little bit to kind of alternative. But one reason why I really love them, and I think you can respect this highly. So the bass player, she has her own house up in North County, like Florissant or something like that. But they call their basement Wolf Pussy, and they do house shows in their basement. And what they do is these little, touring punk bands and stuff, they offer them a place to stay, and they'll do a little show downstairs, and they'll charge $5 to get in, and they give all the money to that touring band.
I love that. That's so cool. I love the idea of house shows. That's rad.
Yeah.
Well, if you would, first of all, I have to listen to them now, and thank you for sharing that with me. Second of all, will you play "Laughing in the Sugar Bowl" first, and then play them?
Yep. And then tomorrow, whenever we send you the link, then you'll hear both of them really good. Well, actually, if you get when we get off here, it'll be playing, so that way you can listen. But they're a fantastic local band, 3-piece. Just they're phenomenal to me. So
excellent! I can't wait to hear them.
Okay. Well, I think we're going to let you go because I think we captured your whole evening.
Yeah, I gotta go have Thai food with my family.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Not a problem. And like I said, once again, we'll repeat it again. July 22nd, Red Flag here in St. Louis. Tickets are on sale now. 20 in advance, 25 at the door. And yeah, show up and artist? Be ready to have a good time.
Who's the artist?
I'm sorry. Oh, it's you, Louise Post. July 22nd. Yep. All right. Rustin, you got anything else, man? You got her on the line.
Well, I don't want to keep her anymore. I've got 100 more questions right now. Scrawled all over this piece of paper. So, Louise, if you just want to hold on afterwards, after we cut you out here on the station, I'll just close it up on the phone if that's cool.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you so much.
We'll get out of here. We'll talk to you all next week, and we'll leave you with Veruca Salt, "Laughing in the Sugar Bowl," and then we'll follow it up with the 𝘚𝘭𝘏𝘓 with Dear Diary by request from Louise. So here we go. We'll see y'all later, and thank you for tuning in to Beyond FM 24/7.
The best of everything STL.
You're goddamn right.
Beyond FM.
Day Chinatown burned down, I saw you start the fire. So deep, so sweet, Alphabet Street, what a poet, what a liar. Gotta spell check it. To the morning after. First act, no tact, what a playback, wasn't that a good disaster? Count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 9, 9. No way, oh, way, oh. Whole lot of love is coming on the radio. Oh no, here we go. Ha ha, look who's laughing in the Sugar Bowl. Oh way, oh way, oh. Back road is playing on the stereo. She's the flame and I'm the glow. It started flaming, it's still coming down. Look back.
Beyond FM.
Just because we wear lipstick don't mean we can't kick your ass.